Thanks for tuning in to Watch the Ordinary Filmmaker. It's Tuesday, November the 9th, 2021. And I said the date right this time. The amount of times where I've got the date wrong and let it go out there, maybe I should just start having fun with it and see if you guys can pick where I made a mistake in the video. Yeah, no, that's silly. All right, so this video is about Panasonic. On Sunday, I put out a video stating that Panasonic has an announcement coming up in a couple of days on November the 9th. And they did. And I said in that video that I really don't see it being the Panasonic GH6 or one of the S series cameras in a Mark II. I mean, it didn't really make sense. Why would you have an announcement 2 weeks earlier where you don't announce anything major just to get people disappointed and then go, just kidding, here's some new cameras. No, it doesn't make any sense. It would annoy people more than anything else. And I speculated, as did 4/3 rumors or 43 rumors, that we're going to get a lens and it's going to be the 35mm f1.8 an autofocus lens. And guess what? Roll the B-roll. This is exactly what we got. And it has a focal range between f1.8 and f22. No surprises there. The minimum focus distance is 24 centimeters and the maximum magnification is 0.22 times. I like this. I like, this is not a macro lens, but when you've got a minimum focus distance of 24 centimeters, that's about a foot, it's about, or 8 inches. 24 centimeters is about 8 inches, and that's pretty close. It's near macro, and I like to get up close with things, especially when I'm shooting with primes. And there's more to this lens. What Panasonic said is this lens is designed to give you that same feel that you would with any of their other primes at f1.8. So if you've got a whole selection of them, you're not going to be surprised by the results. But who is this for? Do you like primes? One thing I'm always trying to convey to people that are starting out is you want to start out with primes, not zooms. And what do we always get when we buy a kit package? A zoom. And right off the mark, we're teaching people the wrong things about photography and video. We're teaching them to use the zoom to properly frame, and that's not what we should be doing, because when you use zoom to properly frame, the whole idea of depth of field is kind of lost. And when you start with a prime such as a 35mm or a 50mm or 40mm, whatever it is, you learn very quickly that if you want to frame things right, you have to move back and forth. And you start to understand how to better use a camera. And that's what I love about primes. I also love that they're lightweight. I shoot a tremendous amount of video and stills with the 50mm f1.2. I love it. At night, it's wide open, and I love the f1.2. And I think this lens by Panasonic, this S 35mm f1.2, it's got autofocus. It's half a pound, 250 grams, and it's a really, really nice lens. It's going to be $697. I have a link to the pre-order down below from B&H. And if you do purchase from there, thank you very much. I do get 10% or 2%. I only get 2%. That goes to helping support the channel. So I really do appreciate that. But what I like about the 35mm, and I don't have one myself, I got the 50, I got a 100, and I'm looking at getting a 16mm, but the 35, it's a bit too wide for portraits, and it's pretty good for landscapes. It's not super wide for landscapes, but here's an interesting thing. If you take that portrait and the environment and bring it together, what do you have? You have a lot of travel videos. You have what are considered environmental portraits, where somebody wants their picture taken next to Niagara Falls, or a donkey, or the Grand Canyon with a donkey. You get my drift. And that's what I like about the 35. It's kind of a compromise between something like a 20 or a 24 and a 50mm. And if you have a lens roadmap, I would get a 50. I'd get a 20. I'd get a 50. I'd get a 35, and I'd get maybe a 24 and a 16. And you know what? Primes are awesome. I love primes, and even some of the cheaper primes. Like I look at the Nifty 50 that Canon puts out for the EF, and it's $150 after tax in Canadian, $100 US. And I think that is a much better way to start. If you're looking at getting a new camera for the first time and you stumbled into this video, just buy the body and then get a really cheap prime lens like a 50mm. And I think that is going to deliver better results. And after maybe 6 months or so of shooting with that 50mm, then go to a zoom. But don't start with a zoom. I think it teaches a lot of bad habits. But now I want to talk a little bit about the elephants in the room, and there's two of them. The Panasonic GH6. I had an awful lot of people saying that We really hoped to see the Panasonic GH6 a couple of weeks ago at the previous announcement. And most of you, like me, didn't believe that we were going to get any announcement regarding new bodies because, as I said earlier in this video, you're just going to annoy people if you come out and say, hey, guess what? We were just kidding in the last video. We've got a GH6 and some new S-series bodies. Not likely to happen. The GH6 is overdue, and we are expecting that anytime soon. There's no more announcements for this year. We're going to get announcements about sales and that sort of thing. It's Black Friday coming up, and then it's the week of it's the lead up to Christmas. So not a lot going on. But starting January is when we start to get new camera announcements again. And yes, we do. Well, look back in 2020, January around the 12th, 10th, 12th. We got the 1DX Mark III. That's a flagship camera, and that was an early January announcement. We do get announcements in January. We also have CES, and companies like Sharp will sometimes tease about their 8K videos. And then, of course, in February, we have CP+. So from January right up until May is normally a very big time. And yes, I know somebody's got their hand up. Yes, the Sony Alpha 1 was also released in mid-January of last year, or this year. So we don't have much going on right now. We might get some leaks about the GH6. We might get some leaks about a Mark II of the S1 or the S1R or the S1H, but I really don't expect anything until at least March because these cameras haven't even been out for 2 years. And I think the most likely chance of us getting a Mark II would be the following year in 2023. I think right now what they have to do, there's a huge amount of market expectations around the GH6, and I really think that has to be their priority. The S1, the S1R, and the S1H, they've already dropped in price considerably since their initial price, so these are already good cameras. They offer good value. It's the GH6, but the big challenge that Panasonic has is that $2,500 price point now gives you an awful lot of highly capable cameras. We've got the Canon R6, the Sony a7 IV, and so many other lenses, the Nikon Z6, the Nikon Z7 at less than $2,500. And if we look at many years ago when the GH5 came out, at $2,500 in terms of 4K video and many other things, dynamic range, there weren't a lot of options. But today there's an awful lot of options out there, and it's especially in that full frame at the same price. So I really wish I could be listening in on some of those Panasonic strategy planning sessions in their Lumix division to figure out where they're going, what they're trying to accomplish with the GH6. And I do appreciate Panasonic giving us a development announcement. I want more. You want more. So subscribe. As soon as I find out more, I'll let you know. And again, by subscribing, I take it as a virtual pat on the back. I really do appreciate it, and it does help this channel grow. And for all of you that continue to support this channel, that subscribed a long time ago, that are telling your friends, thank you so much. But the really big thing I want to talk to you about is, as we move up to Black Friday, I'm going to be keeping my ears to the grindstone, listening for any events. And I've already reached out to a lot of suppliers, including Zhuang, and I've asked them, look, do you have any sales coming out? Same with Angelbird. And they said, well, we'll keep you in mind, and as soon as we're ready to announce something, we'll let you know. And I can already tell you that Zhuang is planning a sale between 10 and 50% on their corporate site. But as soon as I know more, I'll let you know. Now, some videos or announcements might not come out until, the day of, because I might be restricted by the company. So each company is different. And of course, on the day of, I'll probably take it off, and I'll do a lot of shows letting you guys know early on in the day what big sales are out and about. Because that's what this is about. I'm looking to pick up the 16mm that Canon just recently put out. I'm not happy with its retail price. I think it's a little bit too high. It should have been closer to the price of the RF 50mm at $250 or $200. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. But also, if you don't want to watch videos, subscribe to my Twitter account, and what I'll do is I'll either put out a video, I'll tweet it, and every time I put out a new video, that gets tweeted as well, or I might put out a mention in my community forum. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.